ExamPrep.School, Montana Public Insurance Adjuster Exam, exam code InsMT-PAdj17 or OPMT-PAdj17. There are 6 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. General Property Insurance Product Knowledge, Montana Statutes and Rules, Property Insurance Terms and Related Concepts, Property Policy Provisions and Contract Law, Public Adjuster Duties. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. Under the Standard Fire Policy, which of the following is considered covered property? A. Additions and alterations attached to the building described in the policy. B. Outdoor fences located beyond a 100-foot radius of the described premises. C. Personal property of the insured's employees located on the described premises. D. Machinery temporarily removed from the described premises for repair or storage. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is additions and alterations attached to the building, as the standard fire policy ensures the described building and its fixtures, including attached improvements. Reason B is not correct. Fences located beyond 100 feet of the premises are not part of the described building and thus are not covered. Reason C is not correct. Employees' personal property is not insured, since the policy covers only property owned by the insured and attached to the described building. Reason D is not correct. Machinery removed from the premises is not covered under the standard fire policy's coverage of the described building. Question 2. Under the standard fire policy's vacancy condition, coverage for loss by malicious mischief and vandalism is suspended after the described building has been vacant for more than how many consecutive days? A. 60 days. B. 45 days. C. 30 days. D. 90 days. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is 60 days, since the vacancy condition suspends coverage for vandalism and malicious mischief if the building remains vacant for more than 60 consecutive days. Reason B is not correct. 45 days is incorrect because the policy requires over 60 consecutive days to suspend this coverage. Reason C is not correct. 30 days is not the threshold. The policy specifies a longer vacancy period before coverage suspends. Reason D is not correct. 90 days exceeds the policy's vacancy limit. Coverage actually suspends after a shorter period. Question 3. On February 1st, an insurer mails a written notice of non-renewal for a standard fire policy by first-class mail to the named insured, stating that the policy will not be renewed upon its March 1st expiration. The notice is deposited in the U.S. mail on that date and received by the insured on February 4th. Under the policy's non-renewal requirements and the 5-day mail presumption for first-class mail, how does the policy status stand at expiration? A. The notice is valid because actual receipt occurred 25 days before expiration, terminating coverage. B. The notice fails for insufficient notice. The policy remains in effect until proper notice is given. C. The notice is deemed delivered on the mailing date, giving only 28 days notice, which fails to terminate the policy. D. The notice is deemed delivered on the receipt date, resulting in only 25 days notice and is therefore invalid. The correct answer is B. The notice is deemed delivered 5 days after mailing, February 6th, providing only 23 days of advance notice before expiration below the 30-day requirement. So the non-renewal notice is ineffective and the policy continues in force. Reason A is not correct. Assumes actual receipt date determines notice period but ignores minimum 30-day requirement and mail presumption. Reason C is not correct. Incorrectly treats mailing date itself as delivery. Policy uses a 5-day presumption before notice is effective. Reason D is not correct. Mistakenly uses receipt date instead of the 5-day postal presumption for first-class mail when calculating delivery. Question 4. An insurer cancels a standard fire policy due to vacancy, delivering a 30-day cancellation notice to the named insured and separately mailing a copy to the mortgagee only 5 days before the effective cancellation date. Under the policy's mortgage clause, what is the correct effect of this cancellation? A. Cancellation is valid for both the insured and the mortgagee since the named insured received proper notice. B. Cancellation is valid as to the insured's interest, but invalid against the mortgagee. The mortgagee's coverage remains until proper notice is given. C. Cancellation is invalid for both parties because the mortgagee did not receive timely notice. D. Cancellation is valid, but the mortgagee can still file a claim for any unpaid debt under the mortgage lien. The correct answer is B. The mortgage clause requires that a copy of any cancellation notice be sent to the mortgagee with the same advance period as to the named insured. Failure to mail timely makes the cancellation ineffective as to the mortgagee's insured interest while remaining effective for the named insured. Reason A is not correct. Incorrectly assumes notice to the insured satisfies the mortgage clause requirement for the mortgagee. Reason C is not correct. Mistakenly applies the mortgagee's notice failure to void cancellation for the insured as well, but insured's separate notice was adequate. Reason D is not correct. Misinterprets post-cancellation recovery. The issue is continuation of coverage, not lien enforcement. Question 5. An HO. 3 policy with an 80% coinsurance requirement and a $150,000 replacement cost endorsement insures a dwelling valued at $200,000. The insured carries only $120,000 of coverage. A fire causes $50,000 of damage, and the replacement cost of the damaged portion is $60,000 with $10,000 of depreciation. Under the policy provisions, how much will the insurer initially pay? A. $60,000. B. $45,000. C. $37,500. D. $22,500. The correct answer is C. Coinsurance penalty is calculated as 120,000 divided by 0.8 multiplied by 200,000. Multiplied by 50,000 equals 37,500. The policy pays this actual cash value first, with any remaining replacement cost payable upon repair. Reason A is not correct. Uses full replacement cost instead of applying the coinsurance penalty to actual cash value. Reason B is not correct. Assumes calculation based on required coverage rather than actual limit, leading to an overstated payment. Reason D is not correct. Reflects the post-repair replacement cost difference rather than the initial payment. Question 6. Under the Building and Personal Property Coverage form, which of the following items is classified as building rather than business personal property? A. Inventory held for sale in the retail area. B. A freestanding display rack used to showcase merchandise. C. A portable space heater on casters in the warehouse. D. A built-in dishwasher permanently installed in the employee lounge. The correct answer is D. This option is correct because the built-in dishwasher is permanently attached to the structure, making it part of the building under the form definitions. Reason A is not correct. Inventory held for sale is stock, which is classified as business personal property. Reason B is not correct. Freestanding display racks are movable trade fixtures and thus fall under business personal property. Reason C is not correct. Portable space heaters are not permanently affixed, so they are business personal property. Question 7. Which of the following is classified as personal property of others under the Building and Personal Property Coverage form? A. Tenant-built wall partitions installed within a leased space. B. Finished goods held for sale awaiting customer purchase. C. Leased computer equipment owned by a vendor on the premises. D. Permanent light fixtures attached to the ceiling grid. The correct answer is C. This option is correct because leased computer equipment belongs to a third party but is in the insured's care, custody, and control, fitting the personal property of others definition. Reason A is not correct. Partitions installed by the tenant are part of tenant improvements under business personal property, not personal property of others. Reason B is not correct. Finished goods for sale are stock classified under business personal property. Reason D is not correct. Permanent light fixtures are affixed to the structure and classify as building, not personal property of others. Question 8. A commercial warehouse covered under a building and personal property coverage form suffers extensive interior damage when frozen plumbing pipes burst, flooding merchandise and structural components. To maximize coverage for this accidental water discharge, which standard causes of loss form should the adjuster apply? A. Basic causes of loss form. B. Broad causes of loss form. C. Special causes of loss form. D. Standard business owners causes of loss form. The correct answer is C. This form is an open perils, all-risk form that covers accidental water discharge and all other perils except those specifically excluded, providing the broadest protection for burst pipe losses. Reason A is not correct. Covers only a limited list of named perils and does not include water damage from plumbing failure. Reason B is not correct. Although it adds water discharge, it restricts coverage to specified perils and is narrower than open perils. Reason D is not correct. A business owner's form includes property and liability, but is not a standard CP form and may have different coverage triggers. Question 9. An adjuster reviews a commercial property policy after a roof collapse from a heavy snow load. The policy offers both actual cash value and replacement cost valuation. To reimburse the insured for the full cost to rebuild the roof without deduction for age or wear, which valuation option must the policy include? A. Actual cash value valuation. B. Stated amount valuation. C. Replacement cost valuation. D. Agreed value valuation. The correct answer is C. Replacement cost valuation reimburses the insured for the full cost to repair or rebuild without deduction for depreciation, ensuring the pre-loss condition is restored. Reason A is not correct. Provides reimbursement minus depreciation, resulting in lower payment than full rebuild cost. Reason B is not correct. Pays a preset sum regardless of actual rebuilding cost and may not match full replacement expense. Reason D is not correct. Based on a pre-agreed valuation without regard to actual reconstruction cost, but may not cover full replacement expense. Question 10. Which of the following most accurately describes the primary purpose of scheduling property under a personal inland marine floater in a homeowner's insurance program? A. Provide coverage on an agreed value basis without depreciation for specified high-value items. B. Extend coverage to flood and earthquake perils not included in the standard homeowner's policy. C. Increase the policy's overall personal property limit on a blanket basis. D. Automatically cover newly acquired personal property for 30 days without prior endorsement. The correct answer is A. The personal inland marine floater allows individual high-value items to be insured at an agreed value, eliminating depreciation deductions and avoiding co-insurance requirements that apply under blanket personal property limits. Reason B is not correct. This floater does not provide coverage for flood or earthquake perils, which are excluded under standard inland marine terms. Reason C is not correct. Blanket increases to personal property limits are offered by homeowners' policy endorsements, not by scheduling individual items. Reason D is not correct. Automatic coverage for new acquisitions requires a separate endorsement. The floater must be endorsed to schedule each item. Question 11. A public adjuster is reviewing a claim under a commercial inland marine floater written for a machinery manufacturer. The insured shipped specialized drill presses by rail to a customer's site. During transit, a derailment caused significant damage to one press. The manufacturer is seeking coverage under the floater. Which exposure is most likely covered under a commercial inland marine floater? A. Raw materials held in storage at the insured's plant premises. B. Machinery permanently affixed at the insured's manufacturing facility. C. Property in transit aboard a common carrier to a specified destination. D. Goods displayed for sale in the insured's retail showroom. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is property in transit aboard a common carrier to a specified destination, because commercial inland marine floaters are designed to cover movable property while in transit over land routes. Reason A is not correct. Inventory or raw materials stored at the insured's own facility are covered by a building and personal property form, not a floater's policy. Reason B is not correct. Property permanently affixed at the insured's premises is covered under a commercial property form, not an inland marine floater. Reason D is not correct. Display goods held for sale on the insured's premises are classified as on-site inventory and are not covered by a marine transit floater. Question 12. A public adjuster is assessing a claim under a Bailey legal liability form issued to an electronics repair shop. A customer's tablet was accidentally crushed under diagnostic equipment while in the shop's custody overnight. The shop is seeking payment for the damaged device. Under standard Bailey coverage, which loss would be covered? A. Defective repair resulting in malfunction after the device is returned. B. Damage to the shop's own diagnostic equipment during repair operations. C. Bodily injury to a visitor at the repair shop's premises. D. Loss to a customer's tablet while in the repair shop's custody. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is loss to a customer's tablet while in the shop's custody, because Bailey coverage protects the insured's liability for damage to property of others in its care. Reason A is not correct. Faulty workmanship or post-return defects fall under other coverages, not Bailey legal liability. Reason B is not correct. Coverage does not extend to the insured's own business property held for its use. Reason C is not correct. This form covers liability for property loss, not bodily injury to third parties. Question 13. Which of the following best describes a common proof requirement for an employee theft claim under a commercial crime policy? A. A signed affidavit from the suspected employee admitting to the loss. B. Documentation of missing inventory via reconciliation by an external audit. C. Copies of employees' prior criminal convictions for comparison. D. A certification from a public accountant verifying employee payroll records. The correct answer is B. This option is correct because commercial crime policies for employee theft generally require independent verification, such as an external audit or reconciliation of inventory records, to substantiate the theft loss and prevent fraud. Reason A is not correct. A signed affidavit by the employee lacks independent verification and is not a standard policy proof requirement. Reason C is not correct. Criminal history comparisons do not establish that the insured's loss resulted from the employee's actions. Reason D is not correct. Verification of payroll records does not demonstrate that theft occurred or quantify inventory loss. Question 14. A retail store reports discovering $10,000 in cash missing from a locked safe overnight after business hours, taken by an unknown individual. Assuming the policy includes inside premises theft coverage for money and securities, which statement is correct regarding coverage? A. Theft of securities from an unlocked drawer during business hours is excluded unless a drawer burglary clause is added. B. The loss of cash from a locked safe by a non-employee is covered up to the policy's money limit. C. Loss of cash due to forged endorsements on customer checks is covered under inside premises theft. D. Money taken by a temporary worker would be covered under inside premises theft without a separate employee theft endorsement. The correct answer is B. This option is correct because inside premises, theft coverage for money and securities ensures against loss from theft by any person other than an employee inside the insured premises, so cash taken from a locked safe by an unknown non-employee is covered up to the specified limit. Reason A is not correct. An unlocked drawer still qualifies as inside the premises and does not require an additional clause for coverage of securities theft. Reason C is not correct. Forgery losses are not theft of money or securities, and therefore are not covered under the inside premises theft insuring agreement. Reason D is not correct. Standard inside premises theft coverage excludes losses caused by employees, including temporary workers, without an employee theft endorsement. Question 15. Under a standard property insurance policy, the insured is required to provide prompt notice of loss to the insurer. If the notice is untimely but the insurer suffers no actual prejudice from the delay, which outcome is most consistent with established contract law principles? A. The insurer may void the policy retroactively due to late notice. B. The insurer must demonstrate actual prejudice before disclaiming coverage for late notice. C. The insurer may deny the claim without needing to show any prejudice. D. The insurer may impose a contractual penalty fee on the amount of the loss. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that in the absence of demonstrated prejudice, the insurer cannot disclaim coverage solely on the basis of late notice. Established law requires proof that the delay prejudiced the insurer. Reason A is not correct. A retroactive voidance of the entire policy is not permitted solely for untimely notice, absent prejudice. Reason C is not correct. Insurers are not allowed to deny claims solely for late notice without proving prejudice. Reason D is not correct. Standard policies do not authorize a separate penalty fee on the loss amount for late notice. Question 16. A property owner's roof is severely damaged by a hailstorm. To prevent further water intrusion before the insurer's adjuster arrives, the owner covers the damaged area with a tarp and obtains repair estimates. Which action best fulfills the insured's reasonable repair and protection duty under a standard property policy? A. Cover the broken section with a tarp and submit the tarp and estimate invoices with the claim. B. Replace the entire roof shingles immediately and bill the insurer afterward. C. Leave the damaged roof exposed until the adjuster inspects it. D. Remove all debris and dispose of it to speed permanent repairs. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is covering the damage with a tarp and preserving invoices because the policy requires reasonable temporary repairs with documentation to prevent further loss and to allow the insurer to assess covered damage. Reason B is not correct. Replacing the entire roof immediately constitutes a permanent repair without insurer approval, exceeding what is reasonable under the temporary repair obligation. Reason C is not correct. Leaving the roof exposed fails to mitigate further damage, breaching the duty to protect property. Reason D is not correct. Disposing of debris without documentation destroys evidence necessary for adjusting the claim. Question 17. During a claim investigation for water damage, an insurer requests that the insured attend an examination under oath and produce repair contracts. The insured repeatedly misses scheduled appointments and fails to provide the documentation. Under the Standard Cooperation Clause, what consequence may the insurer impose? A. Deny coverage for failure to cooperate with the investigation. B. Automatically increase the deductible due to non-compliance. C. Pay the claim but reduce reimbursement for unpresented invoices. D. Assign the claim to subrogation without resolution. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is denial of coverage because the cooperation clause allows the insurer to deny a claim if the insured unreasonably refuses to participate in examinations or produce requested documents. Reason B is not correct. The cooperation clause does not permit the insurer to alter the deductible for failure to cooperate. Reason C is not correct. Insurers are not required to pay and then withhold reimbursement when cooperation is lacking. They may deny outright. Reason D is not correct. Subrogation assignment occurs only after payment, not as a remedy for non-cooperation. Question 18. A homeowner submits a proof of loss form claiming fire damage but omits receipts for replaced appliances. The insurer requests original purchase invoices and repair records within 30 days. Which duty applies and what is the likely outcome if the homeowner fails to comply? A. The insured must provide requested records and failure to do so may void the claim. B. The insurer must pay the estimated cost without receipts after the 30-day period. C. The insured's coverage automatically transfers to the insurer once proof is filed. D. The insurer must file a subrogation suit to compel record production. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is that the insured must supply requested documentation, and that failure to comply can forfeit coverage, since proof of loss provisions require timely submission of supporting records. Reason B is not correct. Policies do not obligate the insurer to pay without documentation after a deadline. Reason C is not correct. Coverage does not transfer to the insurer simply by filing proof of loss. Reason D is not correct. Subrogation suits are for recovery from third parties, not for document production by the insured. Question 19. On the declarations page of a dwelling fire, DP3 policy, coverage B is listed with a limit of $20,000. Which statement accurately describes the scope of coverage B under this policy? A. Coverage for the insured's personal property subject to the limit shown. B. Protection for the main dwelling structure against direct physical loss. C. Temporary living expense coverage if the dwelling becomes uninhabitable. D. Coverage for structures not attached to the dwelling, up to the per structure limit. The correct answer is D. Coverage B applies specifically to structures that are separate from the main dwelling, as indicated by the coverage B limit on the declarations page. Reason A is not correct. This describes personal property coverage, which is coverage C, not coverage B. Reason B is not correct. This describes coverage for the main dwelling, which is coverage A, not coverage B. Reason C is not correct. This describes additional living expense coverage, which corresponds to coverage D or similar, not coverage B. Question 20. ABC Corp. is the named insured and XYZ LLC is designated as an additional insured under a commercial property policy covering a warehouse. A vandalism incident damages the warehouse walls. Under the terms of the policy's property coverage, who has standing to submit a claim for the damage? A. XYZ LLC. B. ABC Corp. C. Both ABC Corp. and XYZ LLC. D. The building tenant. The correct answer is B. This option is correct because property coverage extends rights only to the named insured. An additional insured does not have standing to file a property damage claim. Reason A is not correct. XYZ LLC lacks standing under property coverage since additional insured status does not grant property claim rights. Reason C is not correct. Although both parties might assume coverage, only the named insured can file the property claim. Additional insured status does not confer that right. Reason D is not correct. A tenant is neither named nor additional insured under the policy, and therefore has no coverage or standing to submit a claim. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below, we read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.